You're rocking with some of the realest coaches in the game. Coach RB and Coach CB. Area code 459.
Record now. Welcome, guys, to Area Code 459 podcast. This is your boy, Coach RB. I'm here with my co-host, Coach CB. She doesn't need an introduction, but I introduced her anyway. Guys, before we get started with our evening podcast tonight, we are going to ask Caitlin to thank some people for us. Go ahead, Caitlin.
Man, we just want to shout out our sponsors, East Bay, J May Crafts, and In-House Inc. They've helped us get our logo together. They've also helped us get some merchandise ready for y'all so you can start repping our brand. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to get this thing off the ground. Also want to thank God, thank our family, thank our friends, everybody that has supported us along this journey. We're excited, and we couldn't have done it without everybody that's pushed us to be better.
All right, that's what's up, man. Tonight's podcast episode is about love is the frequency. Man, I've got some special friends in the house tonight. I'm going to introduce the first one. His name is Mr. Casey Long. This is a man that is no stranger to hard work or working hard for the sport he loves and the people who put forth the passion and the effort around it. He has this was displayed in him and his staff with the success they've had at Murray State University in Kentucky, home of the Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year and future NBA Rookie of the Year, John Morant. Coaching stops have been at VCU and UT Chattanooga, where he was a standout player. That is his alma mater, where he's the only player to have totals of over 1,000 points, 450 rebounds, 375 assists. He led his team to 3 out of 4 SoCon championship games while being an excellent honor student of a GPA of over 3.5. He earned his college degree in poli-sci, but most of all, this guy is a man that is a husband, a father, a mentor, and just an exemplary friend. How you doing, Coach Long? How are you?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the intro. Too many kind words, but I really do appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great to have you.
And I want to introduce our second guest. I wouldn't do him justice if I didn't do his intro that he always does when he introduces himself. But Coach Cam is a realist, man. He always likes to keep things 100 with you. So get ready. He's going to drop some gems. He's a former basketball player at Tuskegee University, where he averaged 5.5 points per game, 9.4 assists, was top 5 in the country. And before that, he was able to accomplish getting a national championship on the JUCO level. He continued his career overseas. He's been a former teacher, a former coach, had a high school stint at Douglas County High School. He sent many players to college on scholarship, and now he's a director over at Elite Hoops Basketball. How are you doing, Coach Cam?
Doing well. Thanks for the intro. And, man, I got to come behind Coach Casey, man. I don't know if I'm ready for this one, man. It's going to be a good one.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get it.
No doubt.
So today our episode is our 4th episode in our series. It's called Love is Hard Outside the Lines. Episode 4 is about love is the frequency. And then our 2 sub points is energy, and stepping outside the box, which I think both of y'all really embody. So like for me, when I think about stepping outside the box, I read this book called Leadership and Self-Deception. And basically it says that most of the time people think about people as objects, where there's something that they need when it's time, and when they don't need them anymore, they put them on the shelf. So my question for you, Coach Cam, is how do you get out of that stereotypical way of thinking? How do you step outside the box and see people who have needs that are just as important as your own?
Well, for me, I've never been inside that box you're talking about, because I do unto others how I want others, people to do unto me. So I treat everybody the same. As far as with coaches, people in the world, like I try and reach out to everybody. And it's funny that you got me and Coach Long here together, because we had like an hour talk the other day, and we really didn't get to know each other until this pandemic hit. But I try and treat people the way my parents told me to treat people, and I try and give more to others than use them up. I just hate that term. I hate people who do it, and I try to show more love and energy towards people than anything to help people figure out the person I am. So I've never tried to use people and put them on the shelf or anything like that, because, the people who do that have that type of energy I stay away from.
Right, man.
Right.
Coach, it's funny that you brought up that energy, man, and that love, and we really like that. I'll throw this out there. A lot of people don't know that Coach Dailey's my best friend and big brother also. So, I'll throw that little gem out there. But Coach, he just brought up a great point in saying that energy and that love. Coach Long, where does your passion and your love for the game come from?
Mine comes from my father, to be honest with you, because he was fortunate. He played at Lamar. He tried to play overseas some. He tried to play in the NBA some, and then he got in a full car accident. Had to go to a cast, had to sacrifice, and then join the military. So for me, he had to sacrifice playing, then he had to sacrifice his opportunity to coach, basically start a family and raise a family the right way. So for me, I got the opportunity to coach from my college coach, whom I played for, Coach Schulman. And when he gave me the opportunity, for me, I was thankful for Coach Schulman to give me the opportunity, but I was also thankful for the opportunity to represent my father and to do something he wasn't able to do. And so I try to carry that in how I carry myself and how I carry myself, in basketball, because I know that it's just not about me. It's about who I represent and the people I'm representing around me.
Right. And I like that. And that really connects to, how Coach was just saying, like, he got it from his people, and they were taught him to be a certain way. So that was great. Coach, if you had to dig a little bit more into your passion for your craft and the game, Coach Long, how does it relate to the effort that you have your teams put on the floor?
Well, I mean, because I know it's not about me, and it's like Coach Cam said, like, I know I was given an opportunity from other people, and it's treat people how you want to be treated. So I feel like when I'm coaching the players or I'm trying to instill some knowledge into them on and off the court, I'm also carrying the fact that I didn't get here by myself. I got here with the help of others. I got here to help represent others. So everything I'm trying to teach and everything I'm trying to instill, it might not sound the best, might not come out the best, it might not be what they want to hear, but it's coming from a position of love, because they got to understand when they go throughout life and when they finish their college career, they're going to have to depend on some people. And they're going to have some tough conversations. They're going to have some positive conversations. And I want them to represent themselves and their families, most importantly, but I also want them to represent the university they come, so they can tell that, hey, man, when I went out to the public, the school I represent taught me well, my family taught me well, and overall the people that are around me helped nurture who I became to be.
That's good.
Powerful.
And I know, like, when you're trying to instill that passion and stuff inside of them, you have to have a lot of tough love. Coaching isn't always easy. And Cam, I was just wondering, how do you communicate tough love to your players? And I know you're a father, so even your kids, without hurting those relationships as a whole.
Man, to me, there's no such thing as tough love, because I'm going to tell the truth. Like you said when you opened up with this, like, I'm a realist, and I'm not going to shoot any kid any kind of BS. I don't shoot my kids BS, because once you either step on the floor, you step outside these doors of your household, you are not only representing yourself, you're representing other people. You're held accountable. So with me, like, I'm just real with kids. Like, if there's something you can't do, I'm not going to throw you on the floor and make you look crazy just because your parents want you to do it, or they might think you a 1 at 6'9". Man, no, he's not. He can't handle the ball. He's a 3. He's a 4 maybe. I mean, and if they don't respect that, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back to me sooner or later in life, and they're going to say something like, Coach, you was right. Because I was having a conversation with a coach earlier today, and I'm like, yo, all the kids I've ever coached, I've been real with them. And all the kids I've coached, they talk to me still to this day, because they're coach. You never shot nothing opposite. You told me the truth no matter what it was. And kids respect that, and they can see through people telling them lies or the BS. Kids see it. I mean, we all played the game. So you know coaches who really were there for you, and then you know coaches who kind of used you up.
Yeah,
That's tough.
definitely.
That's tough. Well, it's good that you said that, man, because especially when kids and players, these young men that are playing at the university level, they don't always come in with the right attitudes, right? I read one of my favorite authors is John Gordon. I read his book, The Energy Bus, and he talks about energy vampires. And so, Coach Long, how do you handle someone who is draining the energy from your team or your life?
I think you got to address it head on. because the reality of it is if you try to push it to the side and hope it gets better, it's never going to do that. And the big thing, especially with players, I think kind of players in life, they're all one and the same from this aspect. Once you address it, a lot of the times it's not because of what you think it is. You know, and I think that's where it goes to, like Coach Cam said, about having relationships with players, because, you know, you have basketball, you have books, you have social life, you have family, you have a lot of other aspects that the players are dealing with daily in a 24-hour cycle, right? And so I'm asking them, you know, they might have come in and have a bad day, and I'm like, man, why are you down, this, that, and the other? But sometimes you just got to have a conversation with them to address it. You know, they might say, hey, coach, I failed a test that I really studied hard for, and I just can't get out of a funk. Well, it ain't going to do me no justice to go to practice and just yell at him that day and beat him down and crush him. He's already crushed, so your approach to him might be different. But I think the major thing is when somebody's draining the energy is finding out why, investing the time to make it better. And, you know, I'm not saying you have to be overly positive with him, but you got to be real with him from the standpoint, if he's doing it, address it head on, give him some options to get out of it, and tell him saying, hey, get out of a funk and don't worry about it. You got to give them options, because at the end of the day, they're 18 to 22-year-old, young adults, right? Mm-hmm. But they're still learning. They don't have all the answers.
Correct.
So me, my big thing to them is address it, give them some options to get out of it, and figure out the why in there rather than blame them for it.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
I know, Coach. Yeah, and Coach Long, I know you work with kind of a targeted group when it comes to your players. But Coach Cam, working with you, we got everybody from 4 years old to a professional player, man. And it's tough when you have to, in one day, deal with all those different ages. But I was wondering if you have any principles that you take with you when you're working with each different level of kids.
Not really. I treat everybody the same, and I'm gonna teach everybody the same. And I mean, you've been in workouts with me with pro guys. I'm not about a whole lot of flash, because you know, in the pro game is, you know, you got to score, you got to make smart plays, or you're not gonna be in the league or playing at any kind of pro level. But it's also with the same kids with the younger kids, because it all translates. If a young kid can, you know, do average footwork or average shot or just basic dribbling, you know, and has the heart and determination, a coach can teach you everything else. You know, the biggest thing for me when I first went to college was I didn't know the terminology, but I could play. But I got, you know, I sat the bench for a little bit, you know, in the preseason, because I didn't understand the terminology. I wasn't taught those types of things. Now, in this day and age, kids can be taught everything because of so much social media, YouTube, and everything like that. And, you know, like a coach like Coach Long, you know, the college level, I ain't got a lot of time to try and teach you, you know, a 1-2 step into a jumper. Like, it got to be quick. So you got to learn that stuff younger. So I try and pour more energy into the younger dudes than I do the older dudes, because, like, when you get to a certain age, if you don't want it, it shows. Mm-hmm. And, like, we're talking about energy busts and everything. Like, a vampire can show. Like, kid in a workout at 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, if they don't want it, you're going to know by the first 15 minutes of a workout. And that's why, like, you know, with me, when me and you train, if you can get through the first 15 minutes of my workout, you good. But I'm going to test you for those first 15 minutes to figure out, do you really want to play this game? Because a lot of people play this game for the sexiness of it, for the ESPN, for, you know, everything that comes along with it. But at the end of the day, like Coach Long said too, man, you got a lot of stuff to do in a high school career, in a college career, like books. You might be in another state away from your family. You know, the social aspect, you know, especially somewhere where, like Coach Long is in Murray State. Like, if you get a kid from DC who's never been that way, that's a culture shock, man. Like, whoa, hold up. You know what I'm saying, Coach Long? I mean, it's a culture shock. I'm not ready for this. You know, so with me, I just try and teach all kids the same and try and give them some kind of life lesson in every workout with me. Whether it's on the floor or off the floor, just talk to them and figure out, you know, stuff that's going on with them.
Right. Coach, I really like that, man, because when you really think about it, you know, it kind of reminds me when I played college football, and, you know, I played high school basketball and got to, you know, coach it at the high school level, AAU level. I always would think about, like, or I would say things like revert back to your fundamentals, almost like remember where you came from, right? You know, with families and teams, you have to build this unconditional bond, right? Your last name your last name on the back of your jersey can't be bigger than the name on the front of your jersey, right? Coach Long, how do you create that buy-in where they, get past themselves, you know what I mean, and then jump into the energy of your team and your program and the buy-in and the vision of where you guys are going?
Ooh, that's a tough one, Coach Long. But you got a long. It's 40 minutes right here.
That is a good question. This is the best way I can say it. I think personally that the name on the back of the jersey holds a lot more, or if not equal weight, to the name on the front. Here's why. The name on the back of the jersey represents not only your family, but the town you're from, the people that helped you get to where you want to get to. It embodies kind of who you are as a person, which then in turn embody who you are as an athlete. So I think your name holds weight because when you step foot on that court, they might not remember anything else about you, but they're going to remember who you were as a person. And once you leave the court, they're going to identify with that. That's the fortunate thing about Ja. Ja was a great player and everything, but Ja Morant, the player, was same as Ja Morant, the person. He was a great teammate on the court, talkative on the court. Yeah, he was competitive, but he was nurturing to his teammates. And after the game, he had a high level of respect for his opponents. Well, he took that with him off the court. So guess what? That name on the back of the jersey was able to travel with him to Memphis, to a team that had no expectation of going to the playoffs, and now the AFC, simply because of what he did and how he nurtured and rallied his teammates. So for me, that's why the name on the back of the jersey holds a lot of weight. And then it translates to the name on the front of the jersey, because there has to be a high level of appreciation, I believe, not only for your family who helped you get here, but for the people who are paying money, your fans, the people who are telling you all positive things, the people who might not tell you positive things, but everybody that's following you. Because if you weren't playing the sport that you're playing or in the position you're in, people might not know who you are. So when you step foot on that court, to me, I think you got to, represent more than just yourself, but you're representing for us. It'll be Murray State and the fans here in Murray, and Murray, Kentucky, and the University of Murray State. You know what I mean? All that in itself is who you're representing. So the name on the back of the jersey holds a ton of weight because that's who you are and where you represent. The name on the front of the jersey, to me, is the appreciation that you have for having the opportunity to play for the university you're at and represent that university for now and in the future.
Coach, that is so strong, man. Especially and correct me if I'm wrong, and you can really jump and say, hey, no, that's not what I meant. But it's like the back of the name on the back represents your character, and the front, even at some point that ball's going to stop dribbling, right? That's all happened for all of us. That's that appreciation for the company and the platform that you were given. So that.
I would say absolutely, because for me, like, when I played, yes, the name on the back of the jersey represents my family. So when I went public, I wanted them to know that I'm representing my mom, my dad, my grandparents, and my whole family as a whole. But I love the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. They gave me an opportunity. They paid for my education for free. They gave me a chance to have an opportunity to be here coaching by playing and building relationships I have. So when I step foot out there, I want them to know that, yeah, I'm representing myself, but I'm also representing the school that gave me opportunity, because they didn't have to do that. They could have got somebody else who did it. So I think it's just got to be a high level of appreciation for that.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate that.
Yeah, and I think talking about that name and showing people that respect, they always say people don't care how much you know until you show how much you care. And I think that's definitely a great statement for a coach, just because you have that platform to reach so many people. So, Coach Cam, how do you show people how much you care?
Dude, I think every day I'm in the gym from 6 a.m. to 11 o'clock at night, showing people I care.
Oh, definitely.
When I'm bringing extra Gatorades, or I'm taking the kid home, or I'm sitting at the gym with you, waiting on your parents to pick you up. Because a lot of the times when people forget, and all of us in this profession, we're more than just basketball coaches, basketball trainers. We're an ear, we're a mouth. We are also a person that girls and boys can talk to, when they feel like they can't talk to their parents at home. We're a counselor. We're a disciplined person. It's just everything. And you kind of show by everything you do. And kids can feel, like I said, once again, they can feel somebody who really cares, and they can feel somebody who just trying to kind of use them up. Because for me, even in workouts when I know kids can't afford it, I'm still telling them to come because I'm in the gym anyway, you know, and it's somewhere to keep them. You know, when I was in Douglas County, I told kids all the time, you know, there was a jail right down the road in Douglas County that was just being built. And I used to tell them either you can be in here with me or they're trying to put you over there. And the kids never really understood it. And they were like, Coach, what are you talking about? Well, if you're out on the streets right now doing something crazy, they're trying to put you in that jail because they're building one. And jails get built for what? Funding to get people in there. Or you can come to the gym. Your parents may not have the 20 or 25. Hey, tell your mom $10 a day. Tell your mom it's free because I'm here anyway. So when they see that, they respect that even more. And they also see your grind. People respect it. And you're showing love through all those things. Sometimes you don't have to say a word. You can show a person love by just the stuff you do or the way you carry yourself, because so many people look at us that you don't even know are watching you. Like there's so many kids where Coach Long is who just are from that town who watch him and the way he walks around the school and the way he interacts with people. And they love that. So many people who watch Coach, you know, Coach Britt, the kids who watch you. And if you show them the correct way, we'd have a much better world. Not just saying us, but everybody in all. Like that's my biggest thing. Like I don't see black, white. I don't see any of that. I just see people who really love people, and those are the people I gravitate to. And I see others who can either suck the life out of me or others I know don't even like me. But why don't you like me? Because if you really sit and talk to me, you would like me because I'm very genuine. See what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, you know, I always tell people all the time, people like, you know, Coach Britt, when he first met me, I carry myself very quiet and I look at you and I try and listen and feel your movements first before I start talking. But if I really rock with you, you know I rock with you. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Sure, for sure. Man, I remember, man, and Cam, you and I have had plenty of conversation over camps and everything, especially, you know, talk about getting up at 6 a.m. and, you know, being there till 11, old 5-star grind, man. Everybody knows that.
5-star days, baby.
But
Yeah.
Casey, I remember, Coach Long, I remember you walking into my gym, and I don't even think you remember the date, but it was before the 2013-14 season. And my kids didn't know who you were, didn't know what it was. And it was just so like how we carried ourselves and gravitated towards each other, had a conversation, we respected each other as professionals. When you left, it was like, ooh, who is that? You know, and I explained to them, I said, that's a guy that can make things happen for you. That's a guy that could change your life. That's a guy that can give you a platform to help you build that character, you know, and he has a lot of energy and he's blessed with a lot of different things. Coach, what gym would you give one of those young men or young females that might have been in that gym back then, or, you know, might be in the gym that you go to the next time you get to outside of this COVID-19? What gym would you give a young athlete struggling with putting their heart and positive energy into their craft?
Well, that's a good question too. But I say I remember that day really well because about 30 or 40 people in the gym, and you were running that thing militant style. I thought they were doing 3-man weave about 15, 20 minutes out there. So I remember that day, boy. It was nice in Panama City. But I guess the gym I would say is never forget your why, because you know I think this is important for a lot of young players because they get down on themselves, and we always talk about never get too high, never get too low. But you got to remember why you're playing and why you're doing what you're doing, because for high school kids, you know, you've had a lot of teachers who invested the time with you to get your grades. You know, you had a lot of coaches that opened that door after practice, after the volleyball practice, the cheerleading practice, the women's basketball practice, after varsity, and told you to come back in there at night. You had some of them that, you know, fed you breakfast in the morning when you didn't have it. So when you think about your why and why you're doing that to show them a level of appreciation, you shouldn't, you know, it happened, but you should never, you know, have a bad day on the court and be like, I don't want to be here, because you had a lot of people sacrifice for it. You know, for when you get to college, you know, you have an opportunity to play professionally, ultimately, but you have an opportunity to build relationships with your teammates, win games, free education, which is the most important thing, especially going nowadays. A foundation to build relationships with boosters and people in the community that if you finish playing basketball, they can help you get a job not only where you're at, but all over the nation. So, you know, when you go out there and you're playing or you're in the classroom or you're doing everything you need to do, you got to remember that, because, man, it's a lot of a lot of time investing in you as a kid. And as an adult, you don't realize that. Because as an adult, you're working to help others. But, you clock in, clock out, you go home, you talk to your family, then you do the same thing over and over.
Mm-hmm.
For them, they're going to meet thousands of people that are just pouring into them like, yo, whatever we can do to make you the best player. So I think players, I tell them all the time, you need to use the university.
Mm.
They're going to use you to get the most out of you, so you need to use the university.
Mm.
And so you got to remember that in your why, because at the end of all that, I'm hopeful that all players want to be successful, but they do have aspirations to play professionally. You got to remember everything that went into it. So when you get to the point where you really just don't feel like doing it, you realize what you have to lose if you don't.
Mm.
And I think that right there is, if I had to leave one gem, is just never forget your why, because that's an important detail that I think kids sometimes forget.
It's huge.
Wow.
That's good, Casey.
That's big.
Yeah, definitely. And to add to that, Cam, he was talking about your why. I want to know why you chose a profession, maybe two professions when it came to teaching and coaching. That's all about developing people.
That's probably what it's about, just developing. I mean, my dad was a professor. My dad played basketball. I always saw my dad pour into everybody, and I also saw I never saw a bad day from my dad. I knew he had them, but I never saw it. So, like, I try not to show it when I have a bad day, because I tell people all the time, like, even if I'm having a bad day, I'm going to put on my mask, and you're never going to know. You'll never know. Like, it's funny, when my dad passed on a Monday, I was back at my school on a Tuesday working, and my principal and everybody were like, man, go home. No, I mean, he can't come back. I'm hurt, but I'm here because I care. I'm here because I want, like my saying all the time, I want people to get 1% better every day. And what better way for me to not only honor my father, but also kind of get over it a little bit, is to be around people who care for me and I care for them. So, I mean, that was my why. My biggest why was because I love the game of basketball. So that's why I kind of chose playing, teaching it. I still do it. I mean, I'll do it until probably I'm in a wheelchair, because I love to see kids being able to go to school for free, or at least going to school on a partial, or going to school doing something they love. Now, professional route, I don't know about that, but if you can get a free education and have a good 4-year career on and off the floor, and at the end of it, you call me when you're graduating or inviting me to your graduation, that brings pure joy to my heart. That's my why.
Man, yeah. So CB and I actually had a conversation about that, Cam, where we were like, we would never have gone to college had it not been for sports. We're both very educated individuals, but the only reason why we're educated is just like you said earlier, I could either be in the jail or I could be in the gym, right? So I always stay in the gym, always stay in the classroom. So, and it was teachers and coaches like you that made the man I am. So I really appreciate that. That was really tough, and that was a good gym. Man, so we're getting ready to wrap up, but at the end, we always come to a huddle, just like you guys do at the end of your practices, right? You get to reflect, and we call this our call to action. So basically, it's just an opportunity to kind of reflect on things that we've heard, or give some advice or one last piece of something to our listeners to take with them. And I'll actually start today. So Coach said earlier, he said, the back of your jersey is so important and holds weight. I want you listeners to go find someone who has helped you build and create a dialogue about character and the importance of character. Make a plan to put energy towards being a great person. CB, you go ahead.
Well, for me, I want you guys to look inside of yourself and self-evaluate and see how you have been treating people. And then I want you to find 2 of your faults when it comes to relationships and work every day to grow to be better at that.
Coach Cam, we'll let you have it.
Well, me personally, I want everybody out here to really think about not sending shouts out on Thankful Thursday, but sending shouts out to somebody every day, because you never know what somebody else besides you is going through. Communicate with people, being able to not only show love, but talk about love. I think us as especially males, we don't do that enough. We don't talk about it. You know, we're supposed to not cry and stuff like that, but open up like that. And it's something that Casey and I have talked about, and we're doing something in the community right now with a group that's called Embrace Us. And it's a coaches association that, you know, Casey's going to be a part of. Coach Penny and myself and Corey Black, Coach Huff, and Evans Davis came up with it off of Coach Penny talking about it. But it's about to empower and embrace and promote and hold people accountable. And that's the biggest thing. We don't hold each other accountable in this world enough. Where somebody calls, like if I'm going through something or I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm saying crazy tweets, like Coach Casey can call me and say, Cam, come on, man. Like, you need to do better. And I'm not going to get mad at that. I'm going to respect it because one of my people has called me out and it's brought me back. So let's show more love, more respect, and use these more than we use this. Listen, think about it, and then being able to talk. That's what I challenge everybody to do.
I think kind of to piggyback on that, but I'll say it different ways. I'll just leave everybody with show appreciation and tell people that you appreciate it, because, you know, we're going through a time where there's a lot of social unrest. You know, you have a virus out here that's wiping out a lot of people, or causing a lot of sickness. What it's done is change how we communicate in a lot of different ways. You know, one of the examples would be when you go to a hospital when this thing popped off, everybody as a family can't go there. It's one person goes in, the other person waits in the car. And, you know, I've had some players that have dealt with this personally and some loss with this personally. So the one thing, you know, talking to them and showing emotion with them and being there for them, what they've taught me, because I'm learning too and getting educated as well, but I can share with other people, is show appreciation for the people that are around you, and don't be afraid to tell them. Don't give them flowers when they're gone. Give them flowers when they're here, because it's kind of what Coach Cam said and everyone has said. You know, you have a lot of people that you're trying to nurture and build relationships with, but you never know what they're going through. And sometimes they just want to hear somebody tell them hello, good morning, good evening, have a good day, man, is everything okay? Really appreciate you. That stuff holds weight. So show appreciation to the people that's here and give them their flowers while they're breathing.
I like it, man. That's old school right there, man. That's old school.
Man,
all right, well, we're gonna get ready to get out of here, but before we jet, man, we like to everybody to go ahead and say their mottos. You know, I know that we have like mottos that we like to say at the end of our show. So, Coach Long, I'm gonna let you start off. What do you say at the end of practice for everybody to take them out?
Hey, man, let's go have a good day. Treat people like you want to be treated, man, and handle your business.
There you go. I love it.
I can make it.
I love it. Cam?
Shoot, you know my thing. I try and get 1% better every day. So by the end of the week, I'm 5 or 7% better.
There you go. Go ahead, Cam.
Well, this is the secret. My motto came from Coach Cam, and the day he told me, I met him my senior year in high school, and he told me that 1% better every day thing, and it really changed my life. So, Cam, that's been my motto every episode. So I'm just gonna piggyback off you and say 1% better every day.
Well, that's what coaches are supposed to do. They're supposed to guide you. They're supposed to nurture you. They're supposed to make sure you're okay. And guess what? It's been how many years since high school?
6.
It's been 6 years since high school. So 6 times 365. I'll just say over 1,800. You good, man. So mine is let love be the frequency, man. You guys really hit it home. Talk about appreciation. Talk about everything we talked about today. So I'm gonna leave everybody with this: let love be the frequency, and Coach B loves you. Peace.